You are what we tell you to be, Eric. More millennials think this from Newsweek. Think referring to a transgender person by the wrong pronoun should be a criminal offense, then think it should be illegal, according to a new poll conducted exclusively for Newsweek. Now, of course, it's going to be a poll, depends on who they asked and where. But this generation of millennials, I mean, unless we start coming out with mass amounts of data, I don't know how much we can believe this. These are probably people who haven't thought about this at all, and they obviously think hate speech is something. 44% of those aged 25 to 34 think, quote, referring to someone by the wrong gender pronoun, he, him, she, her, should be a criminal offense, end quote, versus just 31% who disagree. The remainder neither agree or disagree or don't know. I would like to ask these people why, because what we've realized, Eric, that a lot of the things we've run into in this world today are based on hurting somebody, being mean. Get kicked off of Twitter for being mean. You got demonetized on YouTube for being mean. Everything boils down to being mean, and this is the entire paradigm of whether or not somebody's sincere in their beliefs. Because they're not, the excuse is you're being mean. What it really is we don't want you to express these opinions because it's bad for us politically, and that stops us from making money. True or false?
Yeah, well, yes, it's true. And they know, as much as the media likes to pretend that regular people like you and I are absolutely insane, I promise you. And look, I'm not going to sit here, I can't say definitively, quite obviously. But I think if you go even into the dungeon, into the belly of the most extreme cities like San Francisco or Manhattan, the media is telling you that you're an outlier and you're the mean one and you're wrong. But if you actually go there and talk to people, if you spent a couple hours in Manhattan or or even more notably Oakland, I shouldn't say nobody. That's wrong. Very few people are actually going to be on board with this. And I would venture to say that the people who are on board with this they don't actually believe it. They are just scared. Like we remember the girls from the whatever podcast who went viral a handful of months ago, saying that they know what a woman is, but they're too scared to say it. And I haven't read this article. We'll get through it a little bit more, but very simply, I think it's fake. I think it's like this is just them. This is just them on the next level of pretending that normal people are completely inappropriate. But it's just not the case. And if it were the case, what's the meme? There's a meme that floats around. It goes maybe not viral, but it shows up every couple of months where if we were wrong, then their propaganda wouldn't be necessary, right? So they're doing this because they know that they're on the outs. And this is why I get really scared. Scared is not the word. Concerned, okay? That nothing's going to be on the level because now the rain is here. Because if everything were on the level, it wouldn't have... Bro, normal people still exist. There are regular kids playing baseball and soccer and basketball and parents and families and mailmen. Most of this stuff is absolutely normal. Me and you are eyeball deep in political culture war and stuff, so it seems like there's far more people actually doing this, but I think when you boil it down, there's a handful of people on Twitter who are trying to terrorize the rest of the world. That's all it is, and we are, at this particular point in time, continuing a battle against a tiny minority of crazy people who are trying to wield power. So there's a book that I'm reading. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but there's a book that I've been
the Bible.
there's a book that I've been tasked with reading, and it basically says, amongst other things, that oftentimes the minority will lead the charge, right? Because it's very easy, and actually, damn it, shout out to Tim Pool, and I'm just citing him, I think, at least for the second time today, is that it's easier to change the rules so that the tiny minority will be okay with it, right? So say for it's easier to make a kosher dinner if you have one kosher guest. because the non-kosher people will eat kosher food, but the kosher person won't eat non-kosher food. And no shade, I don't want to get canceled for. I should have given an example because I know there's a certain group you can't. The point I'm trying to make is halal, right? There's a handful of other examples that I'm blanking on right now, but basically you capitulate to the minority because the regular people will just go along with it and they'll say, I don't care. Whereas the tiny minority will say, I'm not doing that because they are a little bit more, for whatever reason, steadfast in their beliefs and for better or for worse. But you see what I'm saying? It's like the minority can steer the ship, which is what we're seeing. Shout out to Dave Chappelle for the LGBT car analogy. They're steering the ship because everybody else will get on board because they don't really care that much. It's just that handful of people that care that they won't go the other way. If that makes sense.
So the poll was of 1,500 people, and the millennial figure contrasts starkly with that for Americans as a whole, which is only 19% want misgendering to be a criminal offense. Still too high, of course. 65% disagree, 12% neither agree nor disagree, and 4% answered that they don't know. Notably, Gen Zs 18 to 24 who can vote are notably less keen on making misgendering a crime than older millennials. 33% think that it should be a criminal offense, while 48% disagree. So what was the original number here again?
I'm not sure.
The original number was... As we scroll all the way up. Yeah, I guess so, eh? Oh, yeah, eh? 44%. So even almost 20% more millennials than Gen Zs, or 11%. Still, they want it to be illegal compared to the even younger people who, by and large, are much more likely to have gender pronouns that are differing from the rest of the population because they are more immune to the propaganda, I would have to say, being inundated with it on a daily basis. Whereas the the millennials, I would wager people who are a bit older than us, my brother and my sister's age, won't tell you how old they are. They just don't want to be mean. And you see this, the Starbucks people, the people who work for Bud Light, anything that is mean or uncomfortable has to be completely avoided at all costs because that's how they were going to get popular. That's how they think they're going to get popular on social media. And that's what gets rewarded a lot of the time. But that's what it all comes down to, and it's sickening, Eric. Final thoughts?
Well, I think basically what you're kind of saying is that the millennials, a little bit older people, are, for whatever reason, are more scared of the algorithm and more scared of the mob. Whereas maybe the Gen Z people who they don't even understand, they never lived without the internet. They don't, it's not as scary to them. I don't know. Like, for some reason, they're like, I was born with an iPad in my hand and I'm not really worried about it. Versus the millennials who are a little bit older who still think that Twitter's real for some reason. Like, they haven't fully got a grasp on it. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you can hear. It's legitimately storming outside. I don't know if you can hear it now. But...
No, I can't hear it. Okay. What I want to know is, I can hear it a bit now. It's fine. It's good ambience.
Turn it up, Jordan.